So for the past 4 years, Julia Jamrozik and myself, we've been making what we call social infrastructures. And so these are playful, this is a Kaboom project. These are playful structures that encourage people to engage with one another in public space. So public space, of course, has always offered opportunities to encounter strangers. But today, thanks in large part to our smartphones, while individuals may occupy a common space, their experiences more and more remain solitary. And so we see our social infrastructures as analog prompts that are meant to encourage playful encounters in the public realm in an effort to allow people from different economic, political, and racial backgrounds come together and share experiences. And we think that in a time of increasing disunity, these simple sparks of interaction have the potential to, however briefly, provide mixing opportunities for people who otherwise might occupy different worlds. A chance to leave the echo chamber of social media and interact in real time with a neighbor. We also like to think of any one of these projects as a node in a wider network of collective urban play spaces. And so with them, we advocate for a scattering of social infrastructures designed by us, designed by others, throughout the city. And with the hope that this could contribute in different ways to the making of community through small-scale engagement. And this approach to creating social intensities through play was very much inspired by the work of Aldo van Eyck, who I would imagine a lot of people in the room are familiar with. He worked in Amsterdam after World War II and recognized the potential of play apparatus to breathe new life into the forgotten spaces of the city. He realized over 700 play spaces and called for a transformation of the urban environment into a network of nodes of play areas at various scales, with the idea to ultimately turn the entire city into a playground. We are especially interested in Van Eyck's assertion that his play structures needed to contribute to the urban landscape in general, to be open-ended and real enough to add to the city even once the child has gone to bed. And that non-representational quality of realness that Van Eyck's simple designs demonstrated was essential to ensuring that the infrastructures he designed were not merely seen as children's playthings, but rather contributed to the overall functioning of the city. So we think Van Eyck's approach to post-World War II Amsterdam can have special relevance for today's America, because when we moved to Buffalo 5 years ago, one of our first observations was that playgrounds were some of the only places where people of different social, racial, and economic backgrounds would come together in the same space. And so that's what led us to start working with playful elements, so we could create accessible environments that encouraged participation. This is another Kaboom project. And there's an urgency to this approach that considers play as an expression of freedom and choice, but also as a collective and political form of occupying space, and that posits that spaces of play are not places of leisure, but an essential amenity. So I just want to leave you with one concrete example. This is on Buffalo's west side, where Full Circle is located. It's a neighborhood that sees very little investment in public space. And as a result of community engagement throughout the process, these swings quickly became part of the neighborhood, a local meeting spot, a mini landmark even. And it's a neighborhood where, until very recently, a lot of refugees were resettled. As part of the project, we consulted with a local organization that helps refugees adapt to life in America. And they told us that places like Full Circle provide a golden opportunity for refugees to be seen in public, participating in normal activities, which has a humanizing effect that can't be overestimated. And that was a very welcome outcome that we never could have predicted. Someone recently drew my attention to a Facebook post about this project, which I think summarizes the best aspirations for our social infrastructures. And she wrote, "My daughter loves that set of swings. Every nationality, kids swinging, facing each other, talking, hanging out peacefully. It's so much more than a swing set to us." Thank you very much.